Hello everybody and welcome to the green and pleasant land that is VIR, Virginia International Raceway. What a fantastic circuit this is, and isn't it brilliant that we can still come and race here after all of these years. A circuit that we almost lost, of course, and the current ownership group should be absolutely congratulated for making sure that this 17 corner beautiful natural terrain road circuit is still available for us at the very highest level of racing. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindhaugh, and along with Jeremy Shaw in the Haggerty Global Broadcast Centre and Shea Adam as our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock Reporter, we're going to take you through the qualifying sessions that will set the grid for tomorrow's race. The rise and fall of this circuit means it's a real challenge for the suspension engineers as much as it is for the drivers, but make no mistake, this is a fast circuit, one of the fastest that we ever get to on the IMSA schedule. It's been a little bit overcast. We've had one or two showers. There was a bit of drizzle earlier on, but for right now it looks dry. And Jeremy Shaw, if we've known anything about this place down through the years, and particularly when we've been in the Michelin GT challenges we are this year with just the GT cars here at VIR, the margin of difference between being at the sharp end of the field and potentially languishing in the midfield are going to be very small indeed today.
Indeed so, and we've seen already today in the two practice sessions that we've had how tight it is at the front of the field, and you're right, there's never a session goes by without some sort of a surprise with somebody higher up than you expected or lower down than you expected. But to pick a pole sitter in this qualifying session, it's a tough one. I would say certainly the BMW would have come in as one of the favourites, having won here last year, but had some problems in the first session. Nevertheless, in the second session, despite that, the car has still set the fastest time of the day so far in GTD. So you've got to consider them as a potential pole sitter, both in terms of the first session, which will set the grid positions, and then the second session for GTD, which will score points toward the championships.
Now, I mentioned that this track was saved and brought back to us, but just doing that isn't enough. Brand new camping area just off the back straight. New catch fencing as well at turn one, where we did have a car have a very nasty incident last year. So it's a continuous set of improvements as far as VIR is concerned that keeps it at the very top of its game and allows us to keep racing here safely. Very nice. Let's go to Shea Adam before we go to the drivers who'll be taking part in the session. Devon Jones was that driver who had that incident in turn one last year, and I believe you got an update on him in a VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report.
Got a wonderful surprise this morning, John, when the entry list came out for an endurance race taking place next weekend. Devon Jones's name is on it. He's back with Bimmer World, and he's back with Nick Galante. I am so happy for his first return to professional racing. It's coming up, and it's only a week away.
Oh, that is very good news. Very good news indeed. We have two sets of qualifying for GTD and for GTLM. The first one is GT only, and that will set the positions on the grid for tomorrow's race. Yes, Hindhaugh hasn't gone bonkers. It is a Saturday race for the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship tomorrow. Really and truly, yes it is. Shea, who's going to be out in qualifying?
Okay, let's go in order of pit boxes from pit out to pit in, so championship order. In the number 9 FAF Motorsport Porsche, that will be Zachary Robichon looking for his second pole position at VIR. I think he got one back in 2019, unless I'm just making that up and going completely bonkers. In number 1, It will be Madison Snow for Paul Miller Racing, pole sitter back in 2016. I know that I got that one right. Green flag is out. 23, Heart of Racing Aston Martin, Roman DeAngelis driving that one, and immediately behind him in the 27, the sister car, that is Ian James. In the 96 Turner Motorsport BMW, after a coolant issue, brought Robbie Foley back to the pit lane prematurely. He is taking that car straight back out of the pit lane here as soon as he gets the thing fired up. We've got Trent Hinman in the number 16 Wright Motorsport Porsche. Trent driving 3 different cars in 3 different races this weekend, and this is the 3rd different GT3 machine that he's raced at VIR in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship, having driven a Mercedes, I think it was back in 2017, filling in for Ben Keating, and then driving the Acura, to which he drove to the championship with Mario Farnbacher in 2019. So 2021, it's a Porsche. For the 2 Lexuses, the 14 will be Aaron Telitz, and the sister car, the 12, is Frankie Montecalvo. Car number 88, that's the Hardpoint Porsche. That is Rob Ferriel. Very much excited about racing here at his team's home track. For the 44 Magnus with Archangel Racing Acura, that is John Potter. We've got car number 39, Richard Highstand, already has a pole position on the year, looking to try and do it again in the Car Bomb Audi. We've got for Gradient Racing, that will be Till Bechtelsheimer. That car is still sitting on the pit lane, has yet to move. He's the bronze-rated driver driving this weekend with Super Mario Farnbacher, and as I say that, he goes rolling down the pit lane. So thank you for listening, Till. In the 19 Grasser Racing Lamborghini, that's Misha Goikberg, and 2 cars that had open choice as to which driver they chose to qualify. 28 Allegra Mercedes is Michael Casada, and in the 32 Mercedes, the other one for Gilbert Korthorf, that one is Guy Cosmo. So Guy getting an opportunity to go qualify.
That's not going to slow that car down at all. Just a 15-minute session here. It's the now tried and tested version of qualifying, so there's no real need to mess about. 1 or 2 people perhaps just waiting before they come out, but I would have thought there'd be very few and far between. And Jeremy, in the session that we saw earlier on this afternoon, the time gaps were minuscule.
Indeed so, yeah, the top, 5 or 6 were covered by just a couple of tenths of a second. I mean, super tight. The fastest time of the day so far was set, as I said a little earlier on, by Bill Oberlin this morning, a 44.391. But in the second session, Hawksworth did a 44.407. So that's 0.0, not very many between those two. And also a 44.4 was Ross Gunn and 23 Aston Martin. The sister car of Alex Riberas, a 44.5. And in the 44.6s were Zach Beach and number 12 car, number 1 of Brian Stellers, and the number 9 of Lawrence Van Tour. So it is as expected, very close, and all sorts of different manufacturers in there as well.
At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us, if you're listening now on RS2, IMSARadio.com, there is a live video button, so if you're not driving and you're not bandwidth challenged, by all means, flick over. I would normally never say turn the radio off, but it's radio and telly together. We managed to bring it all together, as we have been doing for quite some time for qualifying and various other of the sessions in IMSA WeatherTech Championship Racing and in the developmental series as well. So tune in, we've got some very pretty pictures. The green of the outsides of the circuit, another track much like Long Beach last time out, Jeremy, where track limits are not an issue here. For Long Beach, it was because they were very grey and very hard concrete. Here they are very green, but very slippy. Greeny, slippy, grey, grippy, I suppose you might say. With that, we simply don't have track limits issues here.
No, in those respects, no, we don't indeed. But the drivers will have, if they step off the grey stuff and off the green stuff.
That's a point.
The green stuff is going to be very slippery indeed. Always is around here. But you know, the track itself, it's not the grippiest of tracks out there. And several drivers have told me coming into this weekend, watch out for out laps after pit stops and or restarts here during the race. tomorrow, because there isn't an awful lot of adhesion here, and very easy to make a mistake, get sideways, go off the road, delete where applicable.
So Catherine Legge having a last couple of words with Rob Ferriol, who's in the number 88 Richard Mille sponsored Porsche, just heading up through the snake and up into the climbing S's now. This is the 88 hardpoint car. That is an awesome climb up that hill. It's all about rhythm, on and off the throttle, but extremely quick, and you really can't afford to put one of the Michelins over the edge of the circuit, and particularly when you come through to turn 10, South Bend as it's known here. That is a committed corner where 6 or 8 inches will make a huge difference. Really will. Get the, as Jeremy said, you get your tyres onto the grass here, particularly after a little bit of rain, and there's just no grip at all. Early laps coming in, but nothing representative so far. Jeremy, remind us of the best time that we had in that previous lap session, the free practice session.
Yeah, the best time was set in the morning session by a good 2.5 tenths actually by Bill Oblin of 144.391. To put that into perspective, the pole time last year was Corey Fergus in a McLaren at 145.2. So I would certainly expect that to be beaten. But the lap record was set back when we had when there were still pro drivers were allowed to qualify. Jerome Moule set the fastest time in 2017 at a 143.391. So that is a qualifying lap record.
I remember that. He was airborne quite a lot, and we christened him Air Mull that weekend, if I'm not mistaken, Shane.
That was fun.
Yeah,
he was airborne coming through the roller coaster on his whole lap, and we were going, "There's no way!"
and I think turn 10 as well, if I'm not mistaken. He was well off the ground at that point. So I've just had a pen failure here, and. The annoying thing is I've lost my spring, but I found it. It's just a question of getting it back in there. Got to get set up right for qualifying. I've just done a quick spring change, Jeremy. They've got me get my spring rates right for qualifying. You know, it's a little bit. All I wanted to do was write down XM2. Oh, it's gone again. All I wanted to do was write down XM202, which is where we are at the weekend. I may have to replace that Schreiber stick, I think. We're halfway through. Franti Montecalvo is at the top of the standings, 144.651. That's a couple of tenths and more ahead of the BMW and of Robbie Foley. So that car is back out and through to the top. Challenging for the Sprint Championship this weekend, Roman De Angelis and Ross Dunn. It's Roman De Angelis behind the wheel of the 23 Aston Martin from Heart of Racing team, a 144.5.052 of a second. Get used to those kinds of gaps, Jeremy. That's what they're going to be like in this session.
Yeah, fun, isn't it? And
so it
is pretty tight, isn't it, John? You're right.
Oh, yeah.
And Trent Hinman's only a tenth or so farther behind as well in third position. Robbie Foley in fourth, but still a long time to go in this session, and I'm sure we'll see improvements from here. But that 44.44, that's a good lap. That was quicker than all bar Bill Oberlin this morning, and in fact it was quicker than all bar Jack Hawksworth by a fraction in the second session as well. So a very, very good lap time for Frankie Montecalvo in Lexus car number 12.
Good news is I've found the Sharpie that is in my travel bag. That's been utilised. It's fine. XM202 written in big letters right in front of me, so that I don't forget that over the weekend. Best of the Porsches, Trent Hinman, and off goes the number 9 of Zach Robichon. And that was coming down through the roller coaster. He got down the first part, but didn't get the car turned in, the Pfaff Motorsport plaid car. And now it's become a very powerful and very expensive grass cutter. I think, did he just clip the outside curb? Yes, but he was already moving by that point, Jeremy. He's actually done a pretty good job on... Do you know what? That grass looked a bit drier than I thought. There was a bit of dust thrown up rather than a bit of mud there. But that is going to cost him some time. He may have to come back into the pits. Now, the problem is they're not allowed to touch the car during this session, Jeremy.
That's exactly right. So even though he'd be well advised to be in that car into the pit lane, otherwise he's going to overheat the engine most likely. But you're right, they're not allowed to touch the car. I'm not sure whether you could use a broom to sweep.
I didn't touch the car. Something else did. No,
I'm not sure, honestly.
I don't think you can. I'll be honest with you. I think he might get one flying lap, but then be well advised to park it. To be honest. After that, he's sitting at the moment down in 10th position. Check that, make that 11 now as Robbie Foley improves and goes to the top of the times with a 1:43.999, Jeremy.
Indeed so. This is, that's a very, very good lap time there for Robbie Foley at number 96. So clearly unfazed by that problem in the second practice session earlier on today, where it was a coolant leak in the, I'm not sure it was the engine or the gearbox. Shay can probably fill us in on that one. But they sat out most of that session, so did very, very few laps, just 6 laps in total in that second practice session. So relying on lap times this morning, but that is the car that won here last year as well. So it knows its way around, as does Robbie, and of course Bill Oblin, who knows his way around everywhere it seems. So they are fastest at the moment by just almost 0.2 of a second over Trent Hinman in the Wright Motorsports Porsche up into second place. But for that number 9 car down in 11th position right now, vying of course for the overall championship, and there are the points for towards the championship are not scored until the next session. So that's the good news at the moment for the Pfaff Motorsports car number 9.
I did suggest that of all the cars that would probably have the least worry about losing a bit of track time, it would be Turner Motorsport, and that seems to be the case at the moment. And Robbie Foley has clunked in that lap now, a 10.5 quicker than Madison Snow, who's in second place for Lamborghini, and for Paul Miller Racing in the black, white and red, the Total Quartz sponsored machine with the green number 2 on the side, green for GTD, number 2 for second place, number 1 as the number of the car, Long Beach Paul Sitter, of course, and win for that car, which put them, Jeremy, right in the championship hunt. Actually, they've always been in the championship hunt, but just confirmed them as a championship contender.
Yeah, that's right. It's been a really good season for that Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini team. They won last year's Michelin Endurance Cup. Didn't contest most of the sprint races last year, but that car's been just really well driven this season. Nice and consistent finishes, 6 podium finishes coming into this the final 2 races of the season, and now like just 32 points behind the number 9 in the overall championship, with tomorrow's race and Petit Le Mans to go.
Yeah, good point. We finish at Motul Petit Le Mans much later in the year than normal, in what has not been a normal couple of seasons, has it? That is the 3rd longest race of the year. Foley quicker again. Jeremy's knocked another 10th or so off. He's right in the groove now, is Robbie.
43.809 there for Robbie in car number 96. That is a very good lap time indeed. It's within a half a second now of the qualifying lap record that was set by Jerome Mull in 2017. Different tyres then, of course, but this is certainly a stout effort by Robbie Foley. He's really come on strong over the last couple of years. 25 years of age now, from Randolph in New Jersey. He's had just a 1 pole position though prior to this weekend. Can he make it too?
An improvement for Zach Robichon. Zachary Robichon up to 7th position in that Pfaff Porsche, just having to go by the number 27 Aston Martin of Ian James. Just proves what a brilliant lot the collective are. And at IMSA Radio, Nigel Jobby said, could Pfaff use a leaf blower to shift the grass? They wouldn't be touching the car at that point. I like your thought. Argue that one afterwards. It would seem that some of the grass has become disassociated with the front of that car. So whether that was an accelerate hard then brake from Zachary, I'm not sure, but he's redeeming himself at the moment. He'll get through, I think, to complete this lap and have a go at one more with 7, 6, 5, 4. He's coming to the line now. 3, 2, 1. No, that is going to be his last lap as he goes across the line, and it is his best lap, and it moves him where? I just saw the green flash up, and Zachary Robichon moves up to 7th position with a 44.423. So 7th at the moment. Robbie Foley, 43.809, the time to beat. Best time last time around for Madison Snow with a 44.0, 44.1 for the Porsche of Trent Hinman. And Wright in 3rd position. Lots of green at the top and the bottom, actually, at the moment of the timing screen. And still, Jeremy, drivers to finish off their laps, including Roman De Angelis, who's on the back straight now for Aston Martin.
Yeah, that wasn't an improvement from Zachary Robichon that time around. If it was, he might have had time for one more lap, in actual fact, because he was so close, as you were describing, to be able to get across the line before the checkered flag came out, but he didn't. So that is it for him. That's the best he's going to manage. Robbie Foley is already into the pits in at number 96, but Roman De Angelis, Trent Hinman and Madison Snow in reverse order, 4th, 3rd and 2nd, are still out on the racetrack now and trying to improve on this last lap.
Here comes the number 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT3. Cuts to the inside of the curving front straight, and a 44.399, so does not improve. Checkered flag waving now for the Lexus that comes through, and that has not improved either. The 44.5, already a 44.3. However, there was an improvement for Madison Snow, a 44.045, so that is no, sorry, it's not an improvement. He's come into the pits. That was why it was flashing. The 44.045 was what he put in last time around. So I would say, Jeremy, that I think everybody finished. I'm just looking to see who's still to come round. I think Michael de Quesada's still to finish. He's coming to the line now, but with respect to Michael, I'm looking at his splits, and I don't think that's going to improve. No, it doesn't. That is going to be a Robbie Foley, Turner Motorsport, BMW M6 GT3 pole position.
Indeed so, and his only other pole came at Canadian Tire Motorsport back in 2019. He was fastest in one other session. I think it was Detroit, wasn't it, where the car with failed tech, so you certainly don't count that one. Yeah, excellent job there by Robbie Foley, and it looks like another pole position then for that Turner Motorsport BMW. Exactly what they want, what they need after that very disappointing outing last time out at Long Beach, where they were involved in an early incident and finished right at the back and slipped from 2nd down to 4th place in the point standing. So still very much in the title fight, but this is what they need to be starting up front tomorrow. And of course now Bill Oblin will go out there and trying to score maximum points in this next session as well. Not sure, actually. I don't think this year in any of the races any car has been fastest in the points session and on the pole position for the race. So that's certainly something. Maybe no, I lie. The number 14 car did that at in round 4, which was at Watkins Glen. So I'll correct myself on that one.
Turner Motorsport absolutely need those points, though, Jeremy. After you say a Long Beach, which is very much home ground for Bill Oberlin, and he's been successful out in the park, but it was one to forget a couple or 3 weeks ago. So Turner Motorsport have bounced back. So that session then has set the grid. So it will be on the front row of the grid, BMW and Turner Motorsport number 96 from Lamborghini and the number 1 Paul Miller Racing Huracan. Then it will be Porsche from Wright Motorsport and Aston Martin Vantage from Heart of Racing, the number 23 car. Audi on the inside of row 3 for Carbon, that's the 39 car, and the number 14 Lexus. That's your top 3 rows. Now, that is now done. Nothing other than post-qualifying tech can change those positions. But what we do now is we have a second 15-minute session. This does not affect the positions, but it is a points-paying session. And given what we've been talking about for the last couple of rounds and what we talked about earlier and what Jeremy was talking about earlier in this programme, the points gaps are so close, Jeremy, that these points here could make a huge difference to the championships at the end of the season.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, you're in the overall championship. It's a 32-point lead for Zach Robichon and Lawrence Vantor over Brian Sellers and Madison Snow. But if you take out the points from qualifying this season, then Sellers and Snow would actually be ahead by 20 points in the standings, just counting the race results. So, yes, it absolutely can be critical.
So we await. There's a little break to let everybody catch their breath. There is, Shea, here the option to change to a new set of Michelin tyres for the GT Daytonas. That is allowed at this point.
I don't think it's an option, John. I think it's mandatory,
right.
Because the tires that were on the car for the previous qualifying session are the starting tires, unless, and I have to say this for the first time all year, it will be pouring tomorrow, and then they will make everyone start on rain tires. So this could be the last time that people run on the Michelins that they were just out on. But it is a new set of tires, but it doesn't necessarily have to be sticker tires. They can be scrubbed in rubber. It could be perfectly brand new Michelins, or on the last grip of life Michelins. That goes for the team to decide themselves.
Yeah. Understood. And there is a tyre allowance, of course. You can't just happily throw tyres. Is it 9 sets this weekend, yeah?
For GTLM, it's 9. For GTD, it is 7. But, and it's also important to say, that allotment does not go towards rain tyres.
Yeah, those are dry weather tyres. Rain tyres are in addition to that. So we've seen the positions set for GT Daytona. So we know who is going to be where. I gave you those positions a moment or two ago. Now we have another 15-minute session. We add in the GT Le Mans cars, the 2 Chevy Corvettes, and the Porsche 911 RSR 19 of the WeatherTech racing team. They will race for points and position in a single session, whilst GT Daytona are out qualifying for points only. So those additional points, those crucial additional points, when the reckoning comes at the end of the season, are up for grabs for GT Daytona, and the other driver has to get in to the GT Daytona car. So the driver who's just been in cannot do the second session. In the longer races, if it's 3 drivers, obviously you would have a choice. But here, 2 drivers only. So it is the second driver who gets in. For the most part, it is the better rated driver, although there are a couple of teams that are both silvers, so they could have done it either way around. Shea Adam will tell us who the 3 qualifiers are, first of all, for GT Le Mans. Who do you know in our VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report?
Well, I can guarantee you an American driver will be on pole in the GTLM category, because it is Jordan Taylor in the number 3 Corvette, looking for his 6th consecutive pole position in that car. It is Tommy Milner in the 4 Corvette. That's the gray one. See, I called it gray, not silver that time. I'm learning eventually. And Cooper McNeil in the 79 WeatherTech Racing Porsche. Kevin Estre has a very bright helmet. Cooper has a very dark one, so you can tell by just looking through the window. If it's screaming back at you, it's Kevin, and it is not. It is definitely Cooper McNeil in that car. Do you want to know the GTD qualifiers as well, other drivers?
Yeah, might as well go through them. It's the second drivers, of course, but yes, for the sake of probity, let's do that.
Alrighty, in the pole-sitting car, that is the Turner Motorsport BMW. Bill Oberlin is installed behind the wheel of that one. The second place qualifier was Madison Snow, so it's Brian Sellers in the number 1 Paul Miller Racing Lamborghini. We've got Patrick Long in the number 16 Wright Motorsport Porsche. Ross Gunn in the 23 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, which is interesting because Ross still holds the track record for a GS car, having raced at VIR before, but in a different series in the Michelin Pilot Challenge. In the 39 Carbon, that Audi will be driven by Jeff Westphal. I can't remember where the other cars lined up, so I'm just going to have to jump through and tell you who's in what. In the number 9 Pfaff Motorsport Porsche, that is Lawrence Vantour, another one of the pole sitters back from 2019. In the Allegra Mercedes, that is one and only Daniel Morad in the 28. We have Alex Riberas in the 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, and his former co-driver Mario Farnbacher in the 66 Gradient Racing Acura. We've got Kat Legg in the 88 Team Hardpoint Porsche, Andy Lally in the 44 Magnus with Archangel Racing Acura, Mike Skeen in for Gilbert Cawthorpe in their Mercedes, Frank Pereira in the 19 GRT Lamborghini. And I think the only 2 cars left are the 2 quickest ones from the end of that second practice session. We've got Jack Hawksworth in the 14 Lexus. He put the car on pole in the rain here back in 2018. And Zach Veach in the number 12.
Big thank you to Roger and the team for cutting the pictures up at Charlotte. The director's cut is looking absolutely superb, which you will know if you are watching on IMSARadio.com or IMSA.tv. Yes, watching on IMSARadio.com. We've got live video of this. It's all free. There's no breaks. There's no blocks. Fantastic stuff. And thank you as ever to our colleagues at NASCAR Productions up at Charlotte, bringing together radio and the TV to bring our huge community of endurance racing followers around the world together on this Friday evening, or perhaps Saturday morning, depending on where you are. Just after 5 o'clock local time. That's just after 10 in the UK, 11 p.m. in Central Europe. Thank you for taking your time out. The next 13 minutes and 10 seconds will decide who is on pole position for GT Le Mans, and unless something very odd happens, who is on pole position for the Michelin GT Challenge here at VIR tomorrow. I'm going to keep saying that. It's a Saturday race. Check the website for details. Bottom of IMSARadio.com has the details of all of our live broadcasting and lots of developmental series as well. And our feature race on Sunday will be the Michelin Pilot Challenge. The Virginia is for racing lovers 120, and that will be our feature race on Sunday. Again, all available to you. So Tommy Milner, Jeremy Shaw out in the number 4 car, Jordan Taylor out in the number 3, and Cooper McNeil in the Porsche. Would we call Tommy a local to Virginia? It's certainly his home state, isn't it?
Yes, certainly is, yeah, from Ashburn, Virginia, or Leesburg, a suburb of Washington. It's kind of northern end of the state. It's about a 4.5-hour drive, but yeah, this is very much his home state, and he loves coming here to VIR. Tommy scored I think it was his first sports car win here at VIR back in 2005 with somebody called Bill Oberlin, who's obviously still around. It wasn't Bill's first win, but I think it was Tommy's. That was in a BGG BMW run by Tommy's dad, Tom. I also won here, did Tommy, in 2012. That was with Oliver Gavin when they clinched the championship in GTLM. So it was a year after he became a factory Corvette driver. So he's got history here at VIR. He loves the place. I'll tell you what, he would dearly love to get the pole position today. But so once again, he's up against Jordan Taylor, and as Shay was just saying, 5 poles in a row for Jordan coming into this weekend.
We'll keep an eye on those times, but Shea Adam in this VP Racing Field Pit and Paddock report has news of a huge penalty in GT Daytona that will affect how they line up on the grid tomorrow. Shea?
for touching the car during qualifying. The number 9 Porsche from Pfaff Motorsport will start at the back of the class tomorrow. That means that if anyone changes tires, they start behind those people as well, which means that they did touch the car during the qualifying session. Laurens Vanthoor has actually come back into the pit lane. Keep in mind, this is the points qualifying segment. This is still important. They need to stay out on track and try and get as many points as they can to try and stay ahead in the season-long championship. But right now, Laurens is sitting in his pit box. The team needs to get the car back out, but it doesn't matter what they do in this one. They are starting from the back of the back in tomorrow's race.
Yeah, back of the class. I can only presume that Zachary Robichon did come into the pits and they cleared some of the grass out of the front of that radiator duct. I'm speculating on that, but that is that is the only thing that I can think of that they could have been called for, because they're too experienced to have known to make any changes. We'll get the details on that in a moment. 32 Fahrenheit on track, 73 in the air. Across the line, Corvette and Porsche together. Jordan Taylor has the pole time provisionally at the moment at a 44.856. Make that a 43.810 from Cooper McNeil in second with a 42.8. Tommy Milner now with a 42.7. Timing screen just catching up a little bit. So it's now Milner with a 42.7, 42.8 for McNeil, splitting the two Corvettes. Another good run early on at least for Cooper McNeil and that 79 Porsche, the WeatherTech racing car. Jeremy Shaw.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, isn't it, by Cooper to be that close to Tommy. Okay, it was only the first or second flying laps, but still, hats off to him there. He was quicker than Jordan Taylor on that lap, as you say. So, very good start for him. Also a good start there for Ross Gunn, fastest in the GTD ranks in number 23 Aston Martin, a 145.1 on his third lap. Most of the contenders in GTD have completed their third lap, and Ross Gunn is a good 3/4 of a second quicker than Daniel Morad, second quickest at the moment in the returning Allegra Motorsports Mercedes car number 28. Mario Farnbacher third briefly, as Zach Veach goes to the top now in car number 12. The Vasser Sullivan Lexus, he's eclipsed by Bill Oberlin. So strike that again, 144.0 now for Bill Oberlin, fastest by a second in GTD, number 96 Turner Motorsport BMW.
And still no sign of Laurens Vanthoor bringing the number 9 Porsche back out. Remember, they qualified well in the positional part of the qualifying a few moments ago, but that car put to the back for an infringement, team touching the car during the session. Remember, it was off track, had some grass in the front of it, but you cannot touch the car at all, can't even bleed air out of the tyres during this session. It is effectively parc fermé when you come into the pit lane. Nothing that you can do, and in fact the driver can't even get out of the car. If you put a lap in that's 2 seconds quicker than everybody else and you think, well, that's it, I'm done, you can't even get out the door. In fact, you can't even have the door held open for you by your team. If you're feeling a little bit warm, you can open it yourself if you're sitting in the pit lane, but the team cannot touch the car, as it was Heart of Racing, wasn't it, Jeremy, that fell foul of that?
Yeah, a couple of races ago, Ross Gunn was the fastest car in the points scoring session, but got out of the car too quickly, and all those points were taken away, and he went to the back of the order on the point scoring session. And yeah, if Zach Robichon, if Laurens Vanthoor doesn't get out in this session, he could conceivably lose the championship lead, in actual fact, in the overall championship to Brian Sellers and Madison Snow. He comes in here with a 32-point edge. Oh no, he won't lose the points, I don't think, because he should score last place points, I think, Laurens Vanthoor. So whatever the number 1 car does, it will still be ahead, but certainly that gap will be reduced.
Everybody improving last time around, and that's pushed Brian Sellers up into a 4th position in GTD. It's Ross Gunn for Aston Martin and for Heart of Racing, the number 23 car with a 43.3, 43.7, uncharacteristically large gap. Back to Jack Hawksworth in the Lexus number 14, the RCF GT3. Second of the Aston Martins. In third, the number 27's a tenth further back, and then a third of a tenth back in fourth position for that number 1 Lamborghini Huracan. Jordan Taylor, another fastest lap. We've seen this in the past, Jeremy. The GT Le Mans cars just getting quicker and quicker as the VP Racing fuel burns off those Michelin tyres. Extremely durable and keep giving performance. A 40.2 last time around for Jordan Taylor. Now 6.5 tenths ahead of the field as Catherine Legg makes a small mistake coming out of the roller coaster, but manages to stay on the black stuff. Pretty much anyway. And now we have an Aston 1-2, Jeremy.
We do indeed there with Alex Riberas up into second position in GTD, number 27 car. And that joined the fray a couple of races ago. They've had no results to speak of in the 2 races they've done in that number 27 car, but this could be huge for this Heart of Racing team. If they can get both cars up there towards the front, score maximum points, ideally with number 23 car as well, massive implications for the championship. In the Sprint Cup, the number 23 team comes in with a pretty handy lead of 74 points over the number 1 of Madison Snow and Brian Sellers. But in the overall season championship, they're very much in that fight as well.
Shea Adam has a VP Racing fuel pit and paddock update, and it is to do with fuel as well. Shea, what do you have?
Well, I mentioned that in between the sessions, the teams have to change the drivers and the tires. But one thing I didn't mention is that they are not allowed to refuel the cars. I'm hearing from several teams up and down the pit lane. You'll see a lot of them already diving into the pits. They didn't expect their first drivers to run the entirety of the session, leaving their second drivers basically on a fuel use it fast, because you're not going to have much for this session. So we have several teams that have had to pit already, and several more that are actually on in-laps right now because their second drivers didn't have enough fuel to go the entirety of this one.
Jeremy?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not that the first driver ran too long. I mean, that would have been planned. You for the second driver, if he's not going to lay down his lap in 2 or 3 laps, there's not much point in going out there. So for the first session, you want to run as fast as you can, but then leave enough time for the second driver to go out, say without refueling, but enough time for him to set a representative time, and then he's done after that. So it's a strategy decision that teams make before the session, how much fuel they want to put into the car and how many laps they want to run, because the less fuel, the lighter the car, the more speed.
Yeah, and in fairness, the second drivers in GT Daytona who are racing for the points, they are the more experienced drivers and should be able to switch the Michelin tyres on a little bit quicker. And for the original drivers, well, they're racing for pole position and positions on the grid, and maybe they will get faster as the fuel burns down. A quick couple of hellos to Sarah Rigby and crew, who's enjoying the 1-2, or was enjoying the 1-2 is still enjoying the 1-2 for Aston Martin from the home of Bentley, but still waving the British Racing Green flag there. And hello to Tom Firth, tuned in from York. Tom, good to know that you're tuned in, and congratulations on the life-changing bits and pieces that's been going on and becoming a house holder for the first time. And good to know you've got your internet sorted out and tuned in at nearly 10:15 back in the UK. Last 90 seconds, Corvettes first and second, with Jordan Taylor and Tommy Milner a third of a second apart. And Tommy Milner, the driver who improved last time around, Jeremy.
He did. 140.600 for Tommy, but that 140.266 still three and a third seconds, three and a third tenths of a second, ahead in number 3 car. And I was just looking at the split times from this morning. Kevin Estre was quickest in both sessions in the Porsche, but looking at the section times for the Corvettes, they weren't that far off, and it didn't show, I think, their full speed this morning. But we're seeing it now from Jordan Taylor in particular in that number 3 car.
Tommy Milner goes through, spurred on by that to a 40.263. 0.003 of a second, 003 for the number 4 car, and that is almost as close as we can get. But the 2 Corvettes, no team orders here, they are in a dogfight for pole position for the Michelin GT Challenge tomorrow afternoon. Jeremy.
Fantastic, super close there, 0.003. My goodness me, 3,000ths of a second. I mean, that's so fast. It's barely imperceptible. That is absolutely superb. And he's on another flyer now, is Tommy. He wants to try and improve even more if he possibly can. Checker flag is out, so this is going to be the last lap for him. Where is Jordan on the track as well?
Oak Tree, so behind him, just coming out of Oak Tree now. A 20-point deficit between the Corvettes this year in favour of the number 3 car. So the number 4 is 20 points down just in qualifying this year. That's the kind of difference that it can make. Cooper McNeil for one more lap as well. I think he's had the best of his Michelin tyres. He's coming out of the hog pen now and heading towards the line. As Jeremy said, checkered flag is out. We'll get back to GT Daytona at the moment, but the first 5 are in the pit lane. Here comes Cooper McNeil across the line. He puts in his best time of 41.445. It's not going to move him up. So now it's down to the 2 Corvettes. I think they've both gone through. Yep. Yes, they have. And they stay where they were. So it is the number 4 Corvette, Tommy Milner, from the number 3 and Jordan Taylor by 0.003 of a second. And in GTD for points, Aston Martin takes first and second place position points rather, not positions, for Ross Gunn and Alex Riberas, with Jack Hawksworth in 3rd, Brian Sellers in 4th for Paul Miller Racing in the Lamborghini, and Pat Long in 5th position for Porsche. And the number 9 car with Zachary Robichon, who got out of the car, did not turn a lap, at least did not click over a lap, in the hands of Lawrence Van Tour. And Shea Adam has a VP Racing Fuel Pit and Paddock report to explain why that car did not take part and did not set a time. Shea?
FAF asked permission for IMSA to clean the grill off when Zach went off the car. IMSA granted the permission, but then he came in, they cleaned the grill, and the guys started looking around to see if there was any other damage, which was not permitted. That's why ultimately the 9 car lost its times from the first session. In essence, you lose your times from the first session, you're not allowed to go out for the second session. IMSA IM'd the 9 team, the FAF team, to say, hey, you guys got to park for this one. You don't get to lose your times from the first one and still play for the second. So that is that explanation. And just a quick comment as for Tom Milner getting his first pole position in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. He came over the radio and said, expletive, finally. It's been a long time coming for Tommy Milner.
Finally, I'm sure is what he said. There has been a while coming, and it was by a very slim margin indeed. But take nothing away, Jeremy. That is a pole. He will start and bring the field round to the green tomorrow afternoon for the Michelin GT Challenge here at VIR.
Yeah, very cool for the Virginian there, Tommy Milner. Thrilled for him. This is his 83rd start in the IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship. That's not including the old IMSA before that. This is just dating from 2014, when after the kind of reunion of Grand Am and ALMS. But 83 starts. Of course, Tommy has not qualified in all of those races. Far from it. And you can see the relief there on his face. He clambers out of that car. What a great effort by Tommy Milner. I mean, Jordan Taylor is on the top of his game at the moment. 5 straight pole positions. And Tommy has got that coveted first pole position on home turf. Well done, Tommy.
Oh, the whole team, very good indeed. You can never say that Corvette Racing don't put 2 cars out that are identical. 0.003 of a second, and it will be the number 4 car that leads the field to the green tomorrow afternoon for our IMSA WeatherTech SportsCar Championship Saturday afternoon race. Join us then. Congratulations to Tommy Milner. The monkey is well and truly off his back in qualifying. Bye-bye.